You need readers? I've got readers here.
You got readers?
Yeah.
And they all
Yeah, they're cat-eye, they're just for you.
Do they have a beaded necklace?
You are a magnificent man.
Hey, I'm gonna stretch these bad boys out.
Have you seen this one?
They're creaking all
Hold it like a.
Are you sure they will not?
I have like 8 pairs.
All right, they still like. Hey, there.
We're gonna have to start.
Good evening, it's 6:31, November 19th. I'll order the city council meeting for tonight. Quorum check, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Fitzpatrick.
Here.
Councilmember Bulman. Here. Councilmember Goolsby.
Here.
Councilmember Putt.
Here.
Councilmember Rubal.
Glad to be here tonight.
Councilmember Vaughan.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Invocation tonight was by Councilmember Bulman, and I'll read the allegiance.
Dear Lord, we asked for strength and you gave us difficulties to make us strong. We asked for wisdom and you gave us problems to solve. We asked for prosperity and you gave us purpose and brains to use. We asked for patience and you gave us situations where we were forced to wait. We asked for love and you gave us troubled people to help. We asked for justice and you called us to be just and to lead with integrity. For this, we give thanks. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm sorry.
That's his flag.
Honor to Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Apologies for that. Not being a native Texan, sometimes I screw that one up, especially when I just come back from 3 southern states that were not Texas. There are no one signed up for citizens to be heard tonight, so we'll move on to staff reports. And city manager report, staff.
Sir, I don't have a report, but I am going to call up first Ms. CJ Cooley, and they are going to be doing, she and Brandon from Public Works are going to be doing a small presentation on alley maintenance standards for alleys with power lines that could be affected by high winds. This is a request by Mr. Rubal.
Hello, good evening. For those of you that don't know me, my name is CJ Cooley. I'm in Development Services for Code Compliance. So on the alley maintenance, do I need to click this?
Mayor Powell,
okay.
the pages for you.
Okay, so under the cases that we've had, in 2022, they had 36 cases on alleys addressing it. Total is 889, that's all cases, not just the alleys, and which was at 4%. In 2023, we had 99 cases that we dealt with on the alleys. 759 cases, which is a combination of things, which then went to 13%. In 2024, we addressed 184 alleys. Total cases is 1,067, which brought that up to 17%. So slowly but surely, gradually, we're getting to where we need to be. So when I do alleys or any kind of code compliance issue, I go to the home, I check it out, I see what there is, I take pictures. Hopefully I can make contact with the homeowner or the residents that is there. I'll leave a door tag. Give them 5 days. I'll go do my case. In 5 days, I'll go back and re-inspect the property to see if anything's changed. If not, I'll do another door tag because sometimes people get busy. You know, their lives, stuff is going on. After the second door tag, then what I do is, if it's still not addressed, say it's addressed a little bit and they've taken care of some of it, and they're trying, then I'll just wait a little bit longer. Because the next step is to send certified mail. So the first certified letter will go out. I give it 5 days to get there because, you know, anybody here from the postal? No. So it takes a while to get there. So then they've got 5 days from that point. I go back, I do another inspection. So then what happens is, if it's not, then I'll do another certified letter. And after that point, if it's not taken care of, because that's a good amount of time. And if you haven't contacted me, then I go to the court summons. Because it seems, if I do the court summons, then I get some kind of communication between them because nobody wants to go to court. So sometimes it takes a little bit longer to get to the court summons because some people have a death in the family. Some people, their finances have changed. Some people, we have some elderly citizens that they're on their own. They cannot do it on their own. Luckily, we've had a church come forward and ask if there's some residents that could use some help. So we have a total of 5 addresses that we've given the church, and what they'll do is they're going to reach out to the residents and see what they can do for them. Yard work, getting rid of, rubbish or trimming trees and stuff like that. Hopefully, we can have more people come on board and more churches that will do this for us. And that's it.
Any questions for CJ?
CJ, again, thank you. I've seen essentially you working with some of our residents and taking quite a bit of time with them, particularly if there are issues in the house. Can you identify the approximate number of seniors, disabled, or financially disadvantaged people that are on that list?
For the church?
Let me rephrase that, would be on the list that might need services in addition to the 5 that you've identified. Is it a larger list?
Yes, it is. It's, I had approached several residents because since I'm out there every day, I see, and who I talk to. And at first, they're hesitant to do it because a lot of them don't want people coming to their house. They don't want them to see what they have there. So I think once it starts going, then they're going to want to start having the church's help done.
So basically, you've initiated this, our city's initiated it, or how did this work?
They contacted Michael Casada, our director, and so then he reached out to me to ask me who I thought could use the help. And so I made contact with some people, I made some phone calls, just to make sure, because I didn't want to give them addresses and then people show up and they're like, get off my property. So at first, it was a couple men that I had approached, and they right off the bat said no. And the women said yes. And so I think the men will start coming around. Mainly my area is, I don't know if y'all know this, but where aviation is, I have Byrd, East Right, that's my area, and I also have Balboa. So that's my area there. So, and as you see, Wright Street and Parkview and Hillview, you know, some of those people can really use the help over there. So hopefully they'll jump on board. You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Ms. Bulman has a question.
Offline, can you tell us, like, you don't have to do it in this meeting, but what church is offering to help?
Grace.
Grace,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Yes.
And then my other
But let
question,
me back up to say
Sorry.
that in a rotating pattern, a lot of the churches help us. At one time, First Baptist Church, I think we gave them 10 addresses.
okay,
And with their groups, they went out. It's not just, they're not the only ones doing it.
okay,
A lot of the churches have helped. It's just that Grace happens to be the one who's helping at this time.
that's
Open to
awesome.
all churches.
I was just gonna ask
And
Grace,
service
because
groups.
if
And
they're already doing it, I don't need to ask my own church. So that's all, that's the only reason why I asked. But my other question was more for the city, but do you think this has gone up like from 36 to 184 because after we lost trash service, like, I think there was a little bit of miscommunication on who owns what, because I get asked all the time by my neighbors, like, what am I responsible for? So, you know, I live right here, so like my husband will come and he'll just mow everybody's, like he'll do everybody behind the fence, like all of our houses, because that's just what you do. But I don't think a lot of our neighbors understand that, like, that technically is theirs, like you're supposed to do it. So I was wondering, like, is there a way to maybe like the Gateway or something, maybe put out something that kind of explains to people, like, this is your responsibility, so maybe there's less cases of that now, like just a helpful reminder that like we do own halfway into the alley but not the actual street or whatever it is. I know it's slightly kind of confusing too, because like the tree on my alley, like I've cut it, but then also so is CPS, because there's a line there, so I never know, like, am I supposed to do it or is CPS supposed to do it? Sometimes I get a letter, but sometimes CPS beats me to it. So I think there's a lot of those weird instances, so I'm just trying to figure out if there's a way that we can maybe tell people who's responsible for what in a good friendly reminder, so that maybe you don't have as many for 2025. Just a suggestion.
It's a great
And,
suggestion.
yeah, and we actually, if you remember, we sent it out on the, water? They send out like a reminder.
Yeah, it's on their water bills. It's been in the Gateway. But as you have to understand that the alleys before were used by Waste Management all the time. And one of the reasons we hounded residents more often when we had Waste Management in the alleys is because Waste Management couldn't get through. Now Waste Management's not going through, so the alleys, other than, as Mr. Rubal pointed out, for getting to tree trimming, they're not utilized by anyone, so we don't have to worry about them getting through so much. But the tree trimming is really the big issue.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if you could clarify the code compliance, like, if you were to kind of break those down, is it trees, is it tall weeds, like, what's the biggest offender?
It depends on what time of year it is, especially for the weeds, overhanging trees, but also the rubbish, junk vehicles in the driveway. So it's a broad variety of things. But weeds and stuff, like I said, it just depends on that time of year, because we know, when it rains, they're gonna sprout up like crazy. Summer, you have to cut your grass more often, so it just depends.
Mr. Goolsby?
Sir. So, I think you're doing a great job, because I know that like 10 years ago, it was, people were mad because they were getting the hammer right off the bat. And, I'm going to die because my trees aren't trimmed. And the city says they're going to take me to court. And I said, well, how many notices have you had? I've had one. Okay. So I feel like you've gotten pretty good. But the complaints I get are, I told code compliance about this house over a month ago. Why is it not done yet? So there's a balance, right? And we go from the hammer to the too soft, and I'm looking for that middle ground. And as I total this up, that's 40 days from the time you call me and tell me, Byrd, you've got junk in your alley. I don't need 40 days, but I'm also the guy that's going to go out and just pick it up and throw it in the back of the truck, because I have a truck and I have the ability to pick it up. So I understand there's a time there, but I still think 40 days is a little excessive before we drop a hammer.
It can be, but if you don't know their situation, You don't know what they're going through. That's how come sometimes it does take this long. Because in between this, they could be calling me and saying, hey, and look, we lost a family member, or I've lost my job, my lawnmower's broke. And so now it's taking a little bit longer.
I'm just saying, if I won't be upset if somebody says, oh, they got it done in 30 days. I'm not going to be upset.
Yeah. So.
Thank you.
Do you track how many times, could you report on how many summons you had to put out to each individual homeowner? Like, at the end of a quarter, could you say, we had this many violations, people responded to the first letter here, or took a certified letter? Do you know what I'm saying? See how far it goes down?
That's kind of.
So we have that data report that we provide once a month to council. We can break it down further if you'd like for code.
I'm just wondering, because then that kind of gets into where Byrd was going on how long it takes people to be responsive. And so maybe if you have several people that are doing it on the first or the second try and you're not having to get to the certified, it would be good to be able to talk about that. It's a nice to have. If it's terribly painful, it's not worth it.
Yeah, we can certainly take a look at it.
Okay.
One thing I will add to that is that we have a lot of serial offenders. Yes. And they know how to work the system. And some people are just adamant that they're not going to comply. And so we just have to factor that into the equation as well.
Yeah.
Anything? One nice, I want to something that Councilmember Bulman has said. I have had conversations with numerous pastors of our churches around it. I've had 4 pastors commit their congregation into volunteering with the city. And not everybody wants to jump in at one time, and so the rotational basis is kind of stressed. But you've got 4 that have committed, and there are 4 of the larger churches around. Now, 2 of the churches have a lot of folks that may be a little bit older, and so may not be as physically available. But the other 2, or 2 of the 4, do have a program in place to assist local areas, and we are taking advantage of that. So that's where Grace is one of them. First Baptist is also on it too. So those are the 2. Yeah.
Perhaps it's going to come up in the second presentation. So basically, we know that the alleys are city right-of-ways, correct?
Or what? I'm sorry.
Is this going to come up second? Okay, I'll hold.
Yeah, that's going to come up in public works. Thank you so much.
Anything else? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So I'm extending the second portion of this. If you can go ahead and go to the next slide, everyone. So here in this alley, this is actually one of our communication lines. It's actually hanging down. If you can barely see it above the roof of the truck. But that truck actually cannot make it through the alley because it's in a diagonal crossing over that alley. So it's basically, it's in the way. That's our main reason why we're actually here tonight, to try and help figure out how we can get utilities in here to actually help take care of the situation that residents are having. So if you go to the next one, everybody, please. So there's several reasons why we need to maintain the alleys. One of them, a lot of residents actually have access to the back of their properties, whether it's a garage or they just want to get to their backyards. They have gates that are back there. The second most important is actually the utilities. There are a lot of utilities that actually go in the alleys behind the houses. There are a few that are in the front streets, but primarily most of them are all in the alleys. Also too, the utility companies that actually own those, they actually have to have 24/7 access to those. Whether it's the gas, it's communications, it's power. Anytime you look at your actual plat, it actually does tell you that they're required to have 24/7 access to that. We cannot stop them from that. In allowing them to have that 24/7 access, you actually get your utility restored a lot faster. If you don't, we don't maintain it, then we will actually have increased outage time, which I know that upsets a lot of residents from that. Why don't I have my power? Why can't I have my internet, my TV back? Well, if we do our part and help maintain the alleys, then we'll actually get to that, where it'll actually be restored a lot faster. So in doing so, part of your question you had earlier, it's actually in Ordinance 118, Section 2. The maintenance of the easement shall be the responsibility of the owner or the property upon which it is located. It shall be the duty of the property owner to keep the areas across, over or under the easement clear of any structure, debris, vegetation, trees, shrubs, or landscaping. So that basically encompasses the alleys that are the responsibility for the homeowners to help take care of. If the city could, if we had more resources, we'd be happy to take care of alleys, but we don't have enough time to get the alleys as well as the roads to maintain with the workforce we have. So I'm in the process of talking with CPS to help us out. I'll go over our order of operation that we've started discussing with them. Nothing has been finalized 100%, but we're working on a schedule. But our order of operation we're going to look at first is the high lines, because that takes priority. That takes care of the actual grades and the actual circuits themselves, which covers broader areas. We're going to go and get those areas taken care of first. Next, we will take care of the high lines. High lines typically are going to take out just a block versus taking out a whole entire section of town pretty much. And then we'll go to the underground lines because they still need to actually have access to get to those in people's backyards or right at the back gates as well. So if you go to the next slide. So I had a meeting with Mr. Lunsman, the Director of Public Works, as well as a couple of gentlemen from CPS regarding the vegetation and how we're going to try to approach this. Nothing's 100% set in stone because we're trying to work our way up the food chain with the higher ups at CPS, but they're going to work on hiring contractors. They typically have 12 that they hire on a yearly basis, but they're looking at their funds, how they're going to be splitting this up, how they can work with us. They will hire the contractors to come in and clear basically fence to fence, getting all of the trees and any of the vegetation out that's behind, between fence to fence. If a resident does have a tree that's in their backyard that overhangs the fence line going into the alleys, we're just going to turn that up to where the utility crews will have access to get to all of the high lines, and it's not going to impede any of the bucket trucks or anything like that to where they have a safe zone to go straight up, fix what they need, and come back down. Those contractors will be leaving all of the brush behind. All that brush is going to be then picked up by Public Works, where we actually have time to get it mulched, and we have a yard that we can drop the mulch at to get back to mulching quicker, rather than their guys mulching, filling up a truck. They've got to go to a landfill somewhere and then come all the way back. They're losing time. Time is money, but it's also time you get projects done a lot faster if you have guys that can just come in and cut. So we're going to have Public Works staff assist on the back end with CPS, and then after that, Code Enforcement will just be mainly helping us make sure once we've gone through cleaning everything up, they'll just be making sure residents are taking care of the routine, making sure it's mowed to keep from the little trees that sprout up and little sucker branches and stuff. CPS has also said that they will come back around in anywhere from 1 to 3, 5, or 10 years, depending on if the circuit itself is a critical load. Critical load is going to be, you have police station, you have hospitals, fire stations, anyone that is basically classified as critical from the Senate Bill number 3 that was passed after Winter Storm Uri. So if the circuit falls within that grid pattern, then they will be taking care of those first priorities within the first 1 and 3 years. The other circuits will eventually start picking up 5 to 10 year cycles to where we'll actually go out and they'll trim trees that are getting up in the power lines. So I have a few, this is the overall city map. I realize it's kind of a little small, but the gold lines pretty much, if you're south of the Coronado Subdivision and Rose Garden, Sunrise Canyon, everything south to Aviation, all of those neighborhoods pretty much have alleys in the backyard. If you go to the next picture, there we go. So this is over in like Meadow Oak Subdivision. As you see, you can look through the first 2 lots, but beyond that, you can't even get down the alley whatsoever. If you go to the next one. I basically broke up some pictures in each of the subdivisions, and not one is 100% perfect. There are some that are fairly clean and are kept up pretty well, but for the most part, there's a lot of them that need maintenance taken care of going through. So this is over in the Coronado Subdivision area. As you see, there's multiple power lines that are up above, as well as that one tree is already in the communication lines. So next. This is over in Rose Garden and Sunrise Canyon. You can see the one power pole on the immediate right of the picture, but as you look down through, there's all kinds of tree branches up in the power lines themselves already. So this is also a safety factor as well, as if windstorms come through and these branches fall on the power lines, obviously they can start firing. So it's something else that we've got to look at for our fire department, having access to get back to these. So you can go to the next one. And then here's down in the aviation district. So, other than that, if you have any other questions?
Councilmember Bulman?
You said, so, I think you said, so CPS is gonna come through and just tear down like all the shrubs and stuff if there's shrubs or small, or no? I guess I didn't quite
Anything
catch.
within fence line to fence line, so the back of the alleys, yes. We're gonna basically just,
So there's gonna,
trees.
yeah, we're gonna go through, because there's gonna be something that's gonna eventually be sticking up as a tree, so we're just,
so you're just
Clean
gonna
cut.
go through and,
yes. But we understand people
but I
have,
think some people are gonna be mad, but like, cool that they don't have to do it, but I would assume you're gonna get phone calls like, hey, you took my shrubs.
we will get some of those, but we're also trying to help with, so there's gonna be certain circumstances, okay? If you've got underground utilities, fine, some of those are gonna be okay to be left back there. But the thing is residents don't realize how quickly some of those trees grow.
Yeah.
And within a 10-year cycle, that tree's gonna be up to the power lines. Now who's responsible to cut it down and safety for the people that are coming through the alleys in? So it's better to just take care of the alley all the way, and then it's easy to just mow, keep up with for the residents that are trying to just take care of mowing it. It's a lot easier than trying to ask them to go out and clean all the trees up like we are right now. That's why we're trying to take the initiative to go take care of it at first, an initial step, but then we ask the residents to help take care of it from there.
I think that's awesome. Like I said, I think that's great, because I think it is gonna be hard. I think in our area in particular, I think there's a lot of like anger about losing their trash, so I think some people are just sticking it to the man, so I kind of appreciate, I mean, there's still people that have trash cans back there, but they're not being used, like, because it's gone. They don't have a back entry, but I still see trash cans back there in the alley, even though you know they're not using them, they're just the old cans that no one ever tucked back in their yard, so I think it is kind of nice that like, if they come through and clean it all once, then all we have to worry about is mowing. Like,
We had,
I think that's a nice
about a
service.
2-week period where if they put them out front, we were picking them up for free, but people still didn't want to move them out front.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're back there.
I mean, there's still, I mean, right, if you go further down, there's still like a million trash cans back there. They're like tucked in a little spot, but they're still back there, and you know the trash isn't coming there, so I'm not sure why they're still back there, but I think this will be nice, because if we are cleaning it out once, then it's just, okay, now these are gone, and you just mow. I think that's awesome. That was my point, sorry.
And CJ didn't mention it when she was here, but one of the things that she includes in her discussion with the property owners is that once they get it cleaned up, there's this wonderful product called All Vegetation Killer. And a few applications of that, it will take care of a lot of the maintenance issues for some of those homeowners. I get that everybody likes to use chemical, but if you don't want to have to constantly be back there, it's a great means of just keeping it down. It's awesome.
It's great.
Councilmember Rubal?
Yes. First of all, thank you. I recognize some of these alleys from our trip around the city. You even got a few more. I appreciate that. And I appreciate the sincerity about addressing the emergency service issue with regard to power lines. Obviously, we had a great lessons over and over again on the East Coast, and now with weather changes and so forth. So that's great. But we have to recognize we're starting actually at year 0, where it should, there should have been some progressive changes before that. I would like to ask the question now, knowing that in addition to the above ground power lines, and as you pointed out, there are below ground services. What's the city's responsibility for actually maintaining the right-of-way for emergency vehicles? So basically, the issue is a lot of the alleyways would not be passable by an ambulance, for example, for sure. Okay, we're worried about speed bumps and ambulances. An ambulance can't get down some of our alleyways. So is there a similar process within the city to identify the alleyways whose surface needs to be addressed? That would be more the city's responsibility than the perimeter where the grass is growing.
So most of the ones that actually have rear access to a garage or a carport of some sort, they already have some kind of an asphalt gravelled surface rather than just a grass vegetated one like the one you see.
I guess I mean, do we not have a standard to maintain our alleyways at least as good as the Cibolo Trail walking paths? Where they're graded and gravelled and packed at least once every 20 years or 30 years.
I'll address that. These alleys that we have, that you're seeing in these pictures, if it can hold up to my sewer truck, because a lot of these alleys have sewer in it, if it can hold up to the sewer truck, and it can hold up to a CPS truck. So we'll keep it to the utility standards that we need, but no more than that.
To the utility standards that we need.
Utility services, meaning public works, CPS, center point energy. As long as we can get our trucks in there, in and out, the service, the gas service, the utilities that need to be serviced, those are the conditions that will make sure that we can.
I really don't think that's satisfactory.
That's what the purpose of the alley is for. It isn't for anything else. Fire emergency vehicles are not going to go down that alley.
Neither will an ambulance.
Ambulance either. It's for utility services.
I can produce videos from residents that have police cars going down the alleyways, and I can do it within 20 minutes if you allow me to.
I can too. If they're going to be on a high-speed chase with a motorcycle going down it, like we had in Coronado, yes, they'll go down an alley. But I don't have them furnish me any complaints. We keep the condition. If I have CPS tell me that we have ruts that we need to fill in, we'll address those ruts. If my guys come to me and say we need ruts to fill in, we'll fill in the ruts. But we're not paving.
I'm not asking for them to be paved. I'm asking them to be graded, gravelled, and packed. Just like they used to be.
And that's what I'm saying. When they need to be done, we do that. To the standards that we need.
So there's no schedule to do that, and some alleyways haven't been addressed for 30 years. Is that fair?
No, that is not fair.
For
you said 30 years. I was chasing garbage trucks. Every alley that we had garbage in, I was chasing those trucks and filling in ruts and maintaining these alleys. The only times they haven't been, the maintenance has calmed down is since the garbage trucks have been removed out of the alleys. So right now, I'm not chasing garbage trucks and filling in the potholes that they created and the ruts they created. Right now, we're keeping it to our standards, where we're able to drive down each and every alley without getting stuck. And that's coming in and filling it with base, filling it with millings and stuff like that we need to get down the mountain. It meets our conditions that we need. And we're the ones that need to get in there.
Mr. Goolsby has a question.
Yes. Thank you. So my neighbor drives a little Corvette. So I tell him, don't go down the road. I'm gonna ruin his day.
He can go down it, and if there's ruts in there that doesn't allow him to get through there, then give us a call. We can fill in the ruts.
So basically, I'm just gonna put this in a term that I understand, and I'm asking you to bear with me.
Yes.
Okay? So as I'm designing a church, I don't design it for Christmas, Easter, or Mother's Day. I design it for the average Sunday, right? I think what you're saying is you've got the alleyways to handle what you need to handle, not my neighbor in his sedan trying to drive down.
Exactly.
Okay. And you make that determination because you're the guy in the truck. It's not my neighbor in his sedan, right?
Correct.
Okay. The CPS cut trees on private property if those overhead power line is going to my house. Can I call CPS and say, hey, will you trim out the tree around my power line?
They will not do it for a drop line from their pole to if they have an overhead, because we do have some. We have service drops that go from CPS pole straight to the house. They will not do that.
CPS does not do that. Okay, there was some confusion in a couple of neighborhoods. How are you going to advise the residents of this clear cutting that we're about to do? That we're hopefully about to do with CPS? Oh, that's gonna, I don't want to step on Braden's toes here, but that's, in our discussions, they're gonna come up with a plan for us. Whether it be quadrants, or I know they talked about they would like to come in and do it all at one time, commit to that, but they're doing all in San Antonio and elsewhere. So until he discusses it with his boss and comes back to us, we'll have a plan, we'll put a plan. I know that they do it in San Antonio, we'll probably mirror however they do it in San Antonio. I know, we're definitely gonna let our residents know what we're doing coming through there, because that's gonna be a process of, and then you see, if you can see that picture, they're more worried about on the pole, on the right side, at keeping the trees out of that power line. They're not so much worried about the left side, other than getting their trucks through there. So there'd be less trimming on that left side, and more or less, they're gonna really top anything that's in the power lines there.
And so part of the issue is with the pre-notification is then all of a sudden everybody starts dumping all their stuff in the alley because they think somebody else is gonna come pick it up. So I'm sure, much like what Randy does when he does street projects, they go down with a video camera and they'll video camera and know what's at every address in there. And that way they'll have the ability to know that, hey, somebody's dumped all that stuff out there between the time that they notified them and we went down and did it. And those homeowners will be responsible for going out there and taking their own stuff back.
Even the leftover trash cans, we'll give them a notice to sue about the leftover trash cans. Because what we want to do, they'll be looking and clearing that, but even the underbrush, they're not going to so much worry about it. We'll take care of taking that out at the same time. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Quick clarification. When, I know some people have been, when I've toured the alleys, I've seen some that have been landscaped, like they've planted flowers and that kind of gardens back there. Are you talking, I mean, when you talk fence to fence, are you taking out things that are purposeful as well?
I'm gonna say no to that one. It's mainly we're trying to get rid of the stuff that people aren't wanting to keep up with and take care of.
Okay.
Because obviously they're back there, they're taking care of it, the truck can still get past the landscapes, then we should have no problem with that. It's just all those smaller shrubs that are just the small trees that are gonna turn into bigger trees if we don't take care of them now.
So you'll use some judgment
Yes.
as you're going around. Okay.
And one of us will typically probably be out there with them, even if it's just one of the street guys. There will be somebody there to help make judgment calls as far as what stays with us.
Back to the keeping up with the alley roads, what you're basically saying is you do it as needed. You're not going to go, we just can't afford, for one thing, to go in and do all this to the alleys. So as needed, you're making the repairs. So there really isn't a problem with it.
And we don't get complaints. We haven't gotten complaints in a long time, other than one somebody that has, I know one. But typically my guys are going down there servicing the alleys. And they're the first ones that will come to Brandon and saying, hey, we need to level up or stuff like that. And we always know about the drainage issues, because the residents call us when the drainage is either pouring into their personal backyard and stuff like that. So we know our trouble spots.
Thank you.
Anything else? That's all. Okay. Just a little public announcement for the trash cans, metal trash cans and the plastic trash cans that we used to use in the alleyway. Little public announcement. They fit. Most of them will fit in your recyclable can. Just put it into the bin while it's empty, and then put the other recyclables inside the inside. And when the truck comes by to pick it up, it just dumps them both at the same time. I know I got 3 trash cans that way.
That's why we always have spring and fall cleanup. Most people can fit a trash can in their trunk.
That's another way too. Let's move over to public hearings. Public is invited to address each item listed in this section. Request that you limit your time to a specific approximately 3 minutes. First up is PC 616 SU 027, request for specific use permit at 222 Ivy Lane.
Thank you, Mayor. So as you mentioned, this request is for a mother-in-law flat, also called an accessory residential unit or an ADU more commonly, at 222 Ivy Lane. It does require a specific use permit per our zoning code. We have seen an increase in number of requests. So as I mentioned last time, as part of the comprehensive plan update, There's going to be some recommendations for zoning code, for our zoning code to be updated, and we want to streamline this process and make it permitted by right. So that's coming down the line to make it much simpler for folks to have a mother-in-law suite. So the specifics of this project, again, it's 222 Ivy Lane, and they basically want to convert the existing structure in the backyard into a mother-in-law suite. We've gone through the zoning code checklist. They comply with the requirements. Again, they just need a specific permit. We did send out the legal notices as required and did not receive any objections. We did have one resident return in support of the application. That resident is actually here. They did make public comment at P&Z. P&Z did unanimously recommend approval of this request.
Okay, well, over the public hearing at 7:10. I do have one person signed up, and it's Lorraine Luna.
My name is Lorraine Luna. I live at 229 Westway Drive. I am behind and 2 houses down, and I don't have any objection to it. I can see the property above my fence, and I don't think it would be an eyesore or any problem.
Thank you. Is this is a public hearing? Anyone else have any input as far as neighbor or anything? Sir. Hearing closed at 7:11. Now, discussion.
No, we'll wait to the item, yeah.
I gotta get that, sorry.
That's okay.
Ordinance, second one is B, Ordinance 559, A/2023, amendment to Ordinance 559, codified as Part 4, Chapter 42, Section Subdivision Code to establish the Unity Title Agreement provisions.
All right, thank you, Mayor. So as you mentioned, this is a proposal to update our subdivision code to allow for a unity of title. Essentially, what we've come across in rare instances, but this will definitely help residents save money and time, is that, for example, we have a resident that has a lot. There was a lot in between that was split off, and this owner got half of it, the other owner got the other half, but they never replatted, so they didn't, from a zoning standpoint, consolidate the lots. For tax purposes, they have, but not from a zoning standpoint. So generally, in most codes, you're not allowed to, you have to have a principal structure on a lot. And so they wouldn't be able to build or expand upon the shed to create an accessory dwelling unit on that second lot that they own. And so what this procedure will allow for is a streamlined process. Instead of having to spend between $5,000 and $10,000 on a replat, we'll be able to do this administratively, enter into a unity of title agreement with the property owner. Both the property owner and the city will have to be signatories, and then the city will record it. It will run with the land, and so the only way that it could be dissolved is by the city signing on to that dissolvement. So what this will do for this specific resident is it will allow them to basically get the process going. They're probably going to save about 3 months, and it will allow them to get there much quicker. And so this idea was brought to us. We did the research, ran it by our law firm, and we think it's going to be a great benefit to a few people out there.
Thank you. We have a public hearing open at 7:13. Anyone, any citizens care to address? I have no one signed up for it. 7:13 and a half, we'll close the public hearing and then move to announcements. City manager announcements.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a couple of items for council and everyone in the room. Tree lighting December 3rd right here at City Hall. The tree is up. Some of you may have accidentally seen it lit when it wasn't supposed to be, but we've got that under control now. The light flips at 6 o'clock. It's a very well-attended event. We highly recommend you arrive early so you can get a good parking spot. December 7th is a big day, party day for Universal City. We have 2 events that morning. We have starting at 7 a.m. for the early risers. We have the pancake breakfast at the fire station, that is from 7-Eleven. And the library is having a holiday party, which is open to the entire community, families, friends, and children of all ages at the library, and that starts at 10 a.m. So maybe breakfast one and a holiday party at the next. Also coming up at the library, another great event, we do have a local author event that's going to be on December 12th at 4 p.m. The book is titled The Roots of Earth, and that is done by Kathleen Blackburn. And, oh, well, thank you. I didn't realize we had visual aids. Thank you, Ms. Putt. And so the author will be on hand to talk about her book and the background for it, which is a great event. And then December 19th, and for those of you who can't get your picture with Santa because the line is so long at the tree lighting, you can go to the golf course on December 19th at 4 o'clock. We have Jingle and Mingle. There'll be hot chocolate and things of that nature, and people can have their picture taken with Santa at the golf course. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Council members' announcements, and going with tradition, Councilmember Bulman, let you start off since you had the invocation.
I don't have anything for tonight. I'm just excited for a super busy December.
Ms. Putt?
Well, thanks for the segue. This is my niece. She wrote this book. It's about my brother who grew up here in Universal City, graduated from Judson. He passed away from cancer, and it's the family story. She went on a 10-city tour after the book was published, and her publisher is sending her down to Universal City at her request because she considers this home. This is where Grandma and Grandpa always were. And so she'll be down. She's going to do a little bit of reading, question and answer. She's going to sign books, and Barnes & Noble carries the book. Yay. So thank you for having her. The family's very excited. We're very proud of this. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, I was going to also show visual aids. The fire department has done Christmas shirts that are available for purchase. They're going to have them at the pancake breakfast and tree lighting, but you can also order ahead of time. We've been sharing the link out so that people can go ahead and order them. They're very cute. They're going to start doing that seasonally, so there might be another one for St. Patrick's Day. And they do that to support their burnout fund. And I will say that I learned a little more about the burnout fund this weekend, and I'm really going to encourage them to come and talk about what they do with the funds that they raise, because it's really touching. And I think people would really get behind supporting them in what they're trying to do there. Pre-sales. Thank you. And we are doing pre-sales for the pancake breakfast. I'm not sure if you went last year, but there was a 2-hour line to buy your tickets and come in. We've streamlined that process, so it should go much faster this year. But you can also pre-buy, so your name will be on the list, or you can just show the receipt when you walk in at the door to save time. So I encourage people to take advantage of that. We will be sending that out on social media and probably getting it up on the city webpage as well. So that's all.
Thank you. Councilmember Rubal.
Thank you, Mr. First of all, my apologies for council for not being here at the last meeting. I was attending a Judson School District discussion with regard to the potential of losing Coronado Elementary School. That would be the third elementary school with our city that we've lost. And basically, as a citizen rather than as a council person there, I tried to defend us on the basis of our changing population, the fact that we're getting toward build-out, there's going to be more people. But I think that I have been cast, it's still pending, but I think that I have been cast for that. It's unfortunate because a lot of our people that have been here for a while have had kids that have gone through Coronado Elementary. A lot of the reason why we were here in Universal City is because we realized that Coronado, in my case, I had my kids walk to school type thing because it was a safe school, neighborhood school, and had a great reputation. So basically the loss for our city, I think, is significant. And I just encourage everyone to look at our demographics, understand our demographics are changing. There's essentially a time when the older people will be gone and there'll be room for younger people. We don't want to lose our assets. The second thing, Mr. Mayor, is with due respect, I do believe our alleys are our assets. And I'd like to see them in better shape than they are. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Scott?
I was just gonna say that if we're talking to churches about maybe helping with some residents, it'd be great if maybe we also include some graffiti, because it seems to be getting a little bit out of hand. So if we could have maybe a volunteer crew that would help with that at the same time, would be great. So, amen.
Churches.
Good idea too. I like that. Sir?
I'm good, Mr. Mayor.
You look good with those glasses.
I'm telling you, I feel like my head is like 10 times bigger than these glasses.
It is a big head.
Okay. I'm good, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Okay. Then we'll move into the consent agenda. All matters listed under this item is considered to be routine by City Council and will be acted by one motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the vote.
Councilmember Vaughan,
Aye.
Councilmember Goolsby,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fitzpatrick,
Aye.
Councilmember Bulman,
Aye.
Councilmember Putt,
Aye.
Councilmember Rubal.
Hey,
Motion carries.
Super. And my exuberance, I neglected to give my announcements. I'd like to extend my appreciation to Mayor Pro Tem for stepping in for me this past week at the Northeast Partnership as I was out of town, and I got rave reviews and the representation and the speech that you gave. Thank you very much. On Thanksgiving Day, I have volunteered as mayor to assist with Meals on Wheels. This was their request, it's an invitation they sent to me. I extend the invitation to anyone on council who would like to participate. Just let me know. They have not gotten back with me at that, and I've asked that they be in our community. So more to come between now and Thanksgiving, which is a week from Thursday, by the way. Last but not least, we have we have volunteer for active board members of the present units that we have today, Universal City. And we got, I guess, our annual appreciation luncheon, or dinner, I should say, a party. Mayor Williams always in the past suggested we do a Christmas tie. So this year I'm going to ask council to do a ugly sweater or appropriate outerwear for the Christmas attire, which is coming up on the day after the tree lighting. So, with that being said, the contest will be between us who can come up with the ugliest sweater. Paul Nigerian's not participating this year, so he won't win. And with that, I'll close that out. We have a executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551 regarding consultation with attorneys to seek legal advice. We're going to pause for a few minutes. Should not take too long, but hopefully bear with us. And I'm closing this out at 7:18.
If anybody wants to come take a look at these, I'll leave them here.
Ladies, behave yourself. I only behave because he makes me sit next to him. So I don't have a choice. Thank you, Billy. Yes, sir.
Good evening. Oh. Okay, I'll do it after. Thanks.
Reconvening at 7:30. I'll call for a motion. Are you going to read?
It's me to read it.
If I can find the two people, I can figure it out in the statements. Yeah, but it's,
The wording's on your agenda.
I'll let somebody else do it. 'Cause
Your agenda.
We'll figure out mine if you're waiting on me.
Might still be there.
9BI.
I move that we approve the agreement for an open space right-of-way dedication to Universal City by Compatible Land Management and authorize the city manager to sign it.
Second.
You don't normally vote coming out of an executive session. You got that? Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Vaughan,
Aye.
Councilmember Bulman,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fitzpatrick,
Aye.
Councilmember Goolsby,
Aye.
Councilmember Putt,
Aye.
Councilmember Rubal.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, moving into action items. Got quite a few of them here that we need to take action on. Ordinance 559A 2024, amending the subdivision code related to special provisions to establish unity of title agreement provision. Call for a vote. Oh, excuse me. Yes.
Can I ask a question?
I move to approve ordinance 559A 2024.
Second.
Okay. Just questions? Discussion on this moment?
I just had one question that you'll probably be able to answer, because it was just asked by a resident and a couple of residents. What happens if you need to, so this unifies the two properties together. What happens if you buy the property and it's two properties together, but then you're like, hey, I really want to have this be separate? What happens then? You just go through the replatting process? How do you undo the unity title? How's that? So pretend you want to do the flip side. Because I love it, but people ask, what's the flip side?
So the city, we would just dissolve that agreement.
Okay, that's it. Well, that's easy peasy.
It would just be I'm guessing it would be by an ordinance of the city council to resolve that particular agreement.
So it will be filed in the land records, and so we simply need to file something that counters that to tie that back so that we have something that matches, that demonstrates that that is no longer what's in place.
Awesome, thank you.
Does that have to be, I'm sorry, does that have to be kept with the county? That, okay, so we have a copy, they have a copy, everybody's on. Mike, what fee will be charged by the city for the service? We're saving time, we're saving money. And I'm trying to save $25 on fence fees. So what fee will be associated with this service?
Yeah, so more than likely, the fee that would be applied is the same fee we have for a zoning petition, or it could be a nominal fee. We haven't come up with a fee yet for that. To me, it seems like it's administrative, so we can just do that without a fee. They just need to apply.
Call for the vote.
Councilmember Vaughan,
Aye.
Councilmember Bulman,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fitzpatrick,
Aye.
Councilmember Goolsby,
Aye.
Councilmember Putt,
Aye.
Councilmember Rubal.
Aye.
Motion carried.
So item C, ordinance number 632, PC 585 flop, 205 West Byrd, second reading.
You're off by one line. Item B, ordinance
That's a good point.
655T.
My apologies. Mayor, can I use those glasses? Ordinance 655T 2024, PC 616, specific use permit for 22 Ivy Lane.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second.
Okay. Got that? Discussion?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, things read just a little bit funny. So we're converting what I call a shed to a 335 square foot mother-in-law apartment. I get that. But then essentially the data or the image that was provided to council does not show a plot of where this mother-in-law apartment will be. Rather just shows the 5x5-ish shed in the backyard. And probably zoning and planning and zoning essentially saw something more detailed than that.
No.
No.
No, we talked to the resident to confirm that they're going to have to meet the zoning requirements. And so essentially what they're going to do is build off that existing shed location and move closer to the house. And so as long as they meet those setback requirements for accessory structures, that's fine. So what you're really approving here is not a building permit, but you're approving the zoning entitlement to allow for them to have the accessory residential unit, and we will make sure that they comply with the building code as well as the zoning code.
Follow-on question to the uncertainty of how the information was provided. And basically it said that this unit will have water and electric, but it didn't specify storage. And so mom can't flush the toilet. It's going to be there. Okay. And finally, Mike, for us that are relatively new here, will you explain the 65% maximum total coverage requirement?
Sure. So that's lot coverage. We want to make sure that there's enough impervious surface, meaning so the stormwater, the rainwater can go into the soil. And so basically, overall, for subdivisions, there's a capacity issue. We don't really have a capacity issue, meaning that the existing stormwater system that we have in place can accommodate up to 65% pervious cover on a lot.
Thank you.
Call for the vote.
Councilmember Bulman?
Aye.
Councilmember Goolsby?
Aye.
Was it Councilmember Goolsby?
It was both of us. That's
Oh, okay.
Let it stay.
All right, Mayor Pro Tem Fitzpatrick?
Aye.
Councilmember Putt?
Aye.
Councilmember Rubal?
Aye.
Councilmember Vaughan?
Aye.
Motion carried.
That's big for state. Ordinance number 632, 2024, 205 West Byrd, future land use, second reading. Call for the motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Excellent. Do you have a
Yes, I just wanted to mention that, just a reminder that we have the FLUP as well as the rezoning and PUD. So those are two separate ordinances that you'll be voting on. And then the applicant's attorney is here. They would like to make a quick presentation.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Carolyn McDonald with Rhonda McDonald here on behalf of the applicant, 100 Northeast Loop 410. Here for the second reading, been working closely with staff on those two items that we had remaining discussions on, the two definitions. So I will quickly jump to those since I know this has been before you before, except for Councilmember Rubal. I know you weren't here last time. So this is the property at 205 West Byrd, and we are respectfully requesting rezoning from the current residential zoning district to a PUD. And next slide. Just for bearings again, this is West Byrd, and Judson is to the right of it, Pat Booker. Right? Yeah, it's to the right of the screen. The FLUP amendment, which is currently the item that we're on, is a request from that medium density residential to a mixture of uses, the neighborhood services, commercial services, general commercial, aviation commercial, and medium high density residential. The zoning request will accompany that FLUP amendment, and they're requesting the planned unit development to include a number of uses consistent with what's going on with the property now and potential for future uses. Here before you, we went over these last times, a couple of residential uses, civic uses, and one industrial use. And those two items that we wanted to narrow down were equipment sales and equipment repair services. The next slide should have the definitions. I explained last time, it's not the hardcore equipment repair and sales. It's more limited to what you would see at a nursery. So potentially a lawnmower, a weed whacker, less intense equipment sales and repair services. And so kind of crafted this language based on what was currently in the code, made it something that would be unique to this property, and of course prohibited some of the more intense repair and services. Again, this is the same that you saw last time. We'll adhere to the site plan for the remaining uses that we intend to do. If there's any sort of situation where there is reconstruction or a different use that comes in, like residential that's allowed, then we would adhere to the code provisions that are there today. Again, here's the site plan. Here's some pictures of the current building, the warehousing that have been going on, existing fence, front office and door. Again, the zoning map, commercial uses around us. I think that's probably it. A few letters of support from our neighbors. We have 4. I think that's it. And so I'm here to answer any questions that you still have.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. So I apologize because the system is new for me and I'm an old dog and new tricks take me a little bit. And I'm sleeping. So I'm just trying to make sure that I've got it.
No, I'm sorry. Just want to go back to the definitions.
Okay.
Slide if you could. Thank you.
That's the part that I'm trying to make sure I've got. Because sale or rental of construction equipment, sorry. My world, I'm sitting there looking at a wall where there's a big forklift looking thing, but it goes up, right? And it's big. And I'm not going to screen that with a 6 or 8 foot fence. That's construction equipment. Agricultural implements, that's the top of the tractor. And those are P, which P means permitted by right, correct? So I don't think that this language is there yet. I really don't. You say repair of construction equipment, agriculture, and you say similar to what you would have at a nursery. When I call the landscapers out, they show up in the bobcats and those things. So I'm also really good at finding loopholes in the code, and so that's a loophole, and I would argue that all day long for you. So I want to close that loophole, right? So I don't want nursery equipment, or I want to define nursery equipment to be small hand tools. I don't want it to be bobcats, skid steers, those types of things. I feel like this language is not stringent enough for what we're chasing. Sorry.
Okay, we can go back and further discuss this with the staff.
That's my personal opinion. I'm going to leave that one out there. I don't know how, but that's all. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone else have any questions? Mayor Pro Tem?
Remind me again, if we were to do this PUD and this language is approved, does it stay with the property or is it just with the owner?
No, it stays with the property.
So that's part of my concern with the language is I feel like, we've been very clear with you and you've had those conversations, and so I think you guys understand what's permitted and what our goal is, but if he sells the property, the next person could then look at construction equipment and agricultural implements and do something different, and then it would already be permitted. So that's my bigger concern, I think. I agree with the language question and getting it hammered out a little bit more, just thinking about for future, since it will go with the property. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Since you talk about process, how would that work? If they wanted some amendments in the language, this is second reading. I mean, is that even, I mean, we're going back to the drawing board? I mean, how would that?
Same process you went through last time. You could table it to a date specific, work out that date now, and then give them some time to provide some alternative language that maybe would be closer to what you're discussing. But again, I just asked if you're going to do that. If you want language change, you need to be very clear because, you're taking the best guess stab at it. And she has a client she has to represent too. So staff and for them, if you're wanting them to clean up equipment sales, and I think you said equipment repair and services to close loopholes, be specific about what you want to see or don't want to see. But yes, you can table it to a date specific.
I'm assuming that you guys have looked at this too and been discussing this. Do you not share the same concern, or do you think that this, is it a happy middle ground?
All right, I can argue both ways, right? So yes, we've expressed this to the applicant, and basically the agreement was we feel like the language, I'm playing the odds, all right? So for me, I do not believe that the worst case scenario is going to happen, right? I'm playing the odds that won't occur. I could be wrong, right? But I feel like this is a win-win for the city and the applicant for that property, because I also believe that the market is eventually going to take over. And at some point in the near future, as the aviation district redevelops, that the market will step in and it will basically allow for the redevelopment of that property in concert with the aviation district master plan. And so it's a roll of the dice to some extent, based on what they have told us with their potential tenant. I don't believe that they're going to have bobcats out there that are going to be in mass that can be seen from the public rights of way. So they're going to have to put up a solid fence, and the definition of a solid fence in our code, which will screen that property.
I kind of share your opinion. I feel like we've kind of put this landowner through the ringer, and it's been a long time, but I'd hate to say, let's go back through this again and do 2 more readings of a new one. So I think I would suggest that the rest of the council consider voting for it, even if maybe the language is not perfect.
Maybe one reading, Mr. Vaughan, not 2 readings, it would just be 1 reading.
Okay.
You've already had your first reading conditionally, and so it would be just one more reading.
How difficult would it be to go back and tighten up the language as originally expressed?
I think we could get there. I think maybe, it sounds like the construction equipment and maybe the agricultural implements are the issue right now. And again, it was never the intent to have bobcats or anything like that. It was just,
Well, I can understand where he's coming from with construction. The novice or the homeowner would understand gardening equipment versus construction equipment. It's 2 different things. So just that question. Mr. Rubal?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think the city already appreciates the fact that there's not going to be an 18-wheeler repair shop there. I think the city already understands that they're putting forth a good effort to provide a solid wall type thing. And basically, as a Kubota owner, tractor owner type thing, in this case, I implicitly trust the guidance of have our development expert here.
Don't jinx me, sir.
Don't start
So, I mean, do you want to, we've got a motion on the table, we'll pull the motion and table it, or you want to go with the vote?
Hey, I'm willing to roll the dice. If he's willing to roll the dice, I'm willing to roll the dice on how the vote turns out. And it's up, I'll let our applicant tell us if she's willing to roll the dice or if she wants to go back and put the language in. You know how I feel, right? If you give me a max height of X, if you give me something like that, but it sounds like you may have a consensus without my vote. You know how I feel, right? I'm not mad at you for it.
I know.
Just kind of excited about it.
I'd like to proceed with the vote as is.
Any other comments? Any other comments? Then call for the vote.
Councilmember Bulman?
Aye.
Councilmember Putt?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fitzpatrick?
Aye.
Councilmember Goolsby?
Nope.
Councilmember Rubal?
Aye.
Councilmember Vaughan?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Michael's, we're trusting Michael's. Yes,
Don't start now.
That's the hard one.
Okay, thank you. We have one more. So that was for the flub.
Yes.
This will be for the PD and the result.
Ditto.
Item D.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got it? Discussion? Call for the vote?
Councilmember Bulman?
Aye.
Councilmember Goolsby?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Fitzpatrick?
Aye.
Councilmember Putt?
Aye.
Councilmember Rubal?
Aye.
Councilmember Vaughan?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Congratulations. Okay. Item F, Resolution 812C 2024, 5-year loan with American, I'm sorry, E. Resolution 889K 2024, library meeting room policy.
Thank you, sir. So it's back. I hope I made it a little easier for everybody to follow all those red lines and corrections, and I think there might have been some highlighting that was still in there. I tried to clean it up to give it a little easier shot for you to read it, and on the cover sheet, Christina added some clarity to determine why. What they're trying to do is really just make it easier for people to understand what they need to do, and what they can do, and what they can't do. So this is before you again, so any questions, Christina and I will answer them. To the best of our ability.
Yes,
I don't have any questions or anything. I'm just gonna state why I'm voting no on this one. And I just want to explain so everyone knows in case they're curious. We don't have a rec center or a senior center, yet the library gets referred to that as that space all the time. So I feel like once again, we're taking away another service to offer citizens for free by making this meeting room so hard to book. And since many on council have already refused to come up with an alternate space or an alternate plan, it's just not something I can vote yes for. So I just wanted to put that on the record, that's why.
Anybody else? Call for the vote?
We don't have a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jumped ahead. I'm not used to having that. My apologies. Let's call for a motion.
Move to approve the new meeting room policy for the library. I'll second it.
Discussion? Call for the vote.
Mayor Pro Tem Fitzpatrick?
Aye.
Councilmember Putt?
Aye.
Councilmember Bulman?
No.
Councilmember Goolsby?
Aye.
Councilmember Rubal?
Aye.
Councilmember Vaughan?
No.
Motion carried.
Resolution 812C 2024, 5-year loan with American Bank. Call for a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
And now discussion. Yes.
Some of our discussion, Ms. Turner, was about why we picked E-Z-Go and if we had other competing proposals, and you explained to me that we've got some sunk costs, I guess, in our infrastructure and parts as part of the issue of why E-Z-Go is more attractive than some other vendors. Is that a fair statement?
Right, so a golf cart is not a golf cart, right? Every maker has, like any other, between a Ford and a GMC, they have their own specified parts and batteries and things that they do. And so we've had E-Z-Go, believe it or not, for 24 years. And we always have the spare batteries, the parts, and everything that goes with it. So if we, at this point, decided that we wanted to go with a club car, or I think the other one's Yamaha, we would be not only changing out all 75 carts, plus the food and beverage carts that we have, but we'd be having to redo all the electrical in the cart barn for the new vehicles. And we also have to redo our supply system that we have, because we take parts from old ones, we keep them and reuse them. But we'd also have to retrain the mechanics to work on the new vehicles. So that's why we have E-Z-Go. Now we go and we buy direct from E-Z-Go rather than Yamaha or Club Car. That's what Mr. Vaughan was asking. You want to ask the rest of your question?
Yeah, and I guess we have a consultant that we've hired to come look at the golf course, and I know we've always done E-Z-Go, and so I hate to make a big purchase like this and then they come in later and say, oh, that was terrible, or like, you have a sunk cost in your infrastructure, but if you fixed it, then rainbows and kittens. So I know that we're probably in a time crunch to buy it. I don't know if there's any opportunity to reach out to them, or if we could table it for one meeting and get their feedback, just to make sure we're not kind of doing the same old.
I can't imagine that the consultants would tell us what kind of cart to get.
So they'll do a full operational assessment, which does include like what equipment that we're using for the customers. So I think that we can reach out and see what sort of turnaround, if they could give us an answer on that. Just speaking to experience, I can tell you that if it's a cost question of wanting to get bids to see if there's a cheaper option, E-Z-Go is the cheapest option. So I don't know if that helps with kind of answering that question, but Yamaha and Club Car are typically viewed as higher end golf cart solutions, so that's why we have been with E-Z-Go for as long as we have.
If we went to TPC Parkway, what do they have?
TPC, I believe, has Club Car.
The most expensive ones. What about if you went to Canyon?
Canyon Springs, I couldn't tell you. I have two small children, so I don't play golf every day. But I believe that they have Yamaha. A lot of the like country clubs or the in-between daily fee and country clubs are going to have the Yamaha golf carts. They're going to have the club cars.
Would we risk losing the E-Z-Go quote or put us in a major bind if we took 2 weeks and reached out to the consultant to see if they had any just over-the-top feedback to say, no, definitely don't do this, or no, it sounds fine, go for it?
I think that it could never hurt to ask the question. So, they have expressed that they're going to be very hands-on with how they work with us. They're not here to slash and burn. They're here to objectively review decisions that we're making. And I imagine that since they've been doing this so long, they have over 30 years experience between the people on our specific team, that they've probably seen a similar situation like this and can probably speak to it. That's all very speculative, so
sure.
We don't mind reaching out and checking and just...
Right, and they already have all of our contracts for all of the carts and everything else, so it wouldn't be a matter of asking them to look at it. But one of the issues that we do have right now is that we do have some carts that have major safety issues on them. I don't want to speak to it, but I know we have some that are not accelerating, and we're very hilly. And to make worse, we have some that don't have very good brakes, but we are maximizing our rounds, so every cart is in play right now. So again, a little bit of liability for the issue. That's my job to be right. Liability. We don't want to take on that liability. I think even if you approved it, we could have it ready to go. And if they came back and said, oh no, we think you can do better with something else, we can just come back and advise you that. But you have to remember that interest rates, like everything else, are moving up and down. And I feel like the bank has offered us a good interest rate. Yes, ma'am.
Well, just to finish my comments, just thank you for that feedback. So I would just move that we amend the motion to table it to the December 3rd meeting. If we can get some feedback, if not, then we can reconsider at that meeting.
I will defer to the mayor on that because he has already set the December 3rd agenda for a quick in and out.
I'll concede that.
Second, I'll second the way, I do still.
I'll concede that one additional item to the December 3rd.
I would think it would be quick.
We're just going to table it now until December 3rd.
Can I just ask one question though, real quick, just to clarify? This was asked to us, so this time we're buying 50 carts, but usually like historically we bought 25. I guess that was more my question for the consultant, not so much switching like complete brands, but how come we're doing 50 this time instead of 25, which is what we've historically done? So that, I just love an answer. Like, is there a reason why we're moving to 50 instead of 25 this time?
I can answer that. So we have 40 carts that absolutely need to be changed out.
Okay.
So doing 25 would not do us any good. So I asked Sal to go back and get a pricing for 50. It was, they gave us the same, I want to say price, but the same trade-in value and the same cost for each one for the additional 10. So it made sense to go ahead and do that so that we, again, I'm the liability person, right? Making sure that we're not assuming any liability by keeping old carts that we can't say are reliable. Also, when we went to the 50 carts, they did agree to move the GPS units from the old 50 to the new 50. And even though we're not buying the other 25, they agreed to move those 25 GPS units too. So we did a little bartering with them to get to where the 50 would be affordable, and we got a little extra from it.
And just to add on to that, anecdotally speaking, what tends to happen with golfers when they come to play, as they're choosing a golf cart, they're trying to look for what looks like the newest one. So as we've been doing the 25, what ends up happening is those 25 brand new ones that we get, everybody wants those. And so we're wearing out our carts a lot quicker than we would be if we have the carts kind of more of an even playing field, if that makes sense. So if we can go to the 50 and then possibly eventually doing everything all at once, it's just going to provide a little bit more longevity on the golf carts.
What Mr. Vaughan and I have talked about is one time we did buy all 75 carts at the same time because we were avoiding this issue. But when the golf course was not as financially stable as it was now, and it was making balloon payments on the debt, the city had made the decision to start doing golf carts on a rotating basis, 25, 25, 25. This time it doesn't make sense to do it. If in the future it makes more sense for us to do all 75 at one time for wear and tear and all those other things and financing, we will start to reverse that order and we'll do 50. And then at some point we'll have to figure out, pay off the loan for the other 25 and then get 375 new carts. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I'm going to ask council just to consider one thing, since we kind of all distrusted in Michael and, you know, on that last vote. I think maybe in this situation, we should trust the council and approve it now so that they are empowered to make the decision. They can still reach out to the consultant, find out what they say. If there's any hesitation, not move forward and bring it back to us. But at least they have, since they've got the offer from the bank now, I hate to see them lose a good interest rate because we want to put it off for 2 weeks to make the phone call, rather than just approve it and know that they're going to go and make that call and see what the recommendation is. So, just food for thought.
Rubal? Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I believe, if I read it right, approximately $185,000 were allocated in this year's budget for golf cart leases and so forth. So this is an increase almost to 2+ full type thing for this year. I also believe that the golf course has a reserve fund of close to what, $3.2 million. I also know that the golf course has gotten $1.1 to $1.2 million in venue taxes this year. And I also know that in 2020 and 2021, a total of $664,000 was approved for golf carts during that period of time, with the promise by then the former mayor that the golf carts would more than pay for themselves. Okay, and basically the math was in error. There had to be an increase in rate in order to offset in order to offset that operation. So basically, I'm conflicted here. I'm conflicted here by the fact that we're asking for a 6.75% loan when the golf course fund has ample funding to cover this, that we only allocated $185,000 for this fiscal year for the golf carts. And I'm very confounded why we can't pay the money up front. Does that make any sense?
So the venue tax that you provided to the golf course for this budget was not the 1.2 million, right? We all remember how all that got split up. 1.2 million did not go to the golf course. There was 750,000 that went to Parks and Recreation. So that got wiped out. And then we took the rest of it that went to the golf course. And then we took 300,000 of that, and it's getting transferred back to the general fund. So they have roughly 550,000. But you already identified the projects that you were going to use that 550,000 for. And so that was for capital improvements on the building and the parking lot expansion. I apologize, I don't remember what the other item was. And so when they went in and did their budget for the golf carts, they did not anticipate paying outright for all of those. Well, first of all, they thought they only needed 25, and now they ended up with 50. But, and then on the reserve fund, so you have to remember the reserve policy is pretty specific, that if there is funding within the current budget for that item, that you can't dip into your reserve fund. It's the same way for the city. Now, that's a decision that council has to make if you want to change your policy or override the policy or anything of that nature. But we went based off the capital funding that was still available from the sales tax, went to the projects that we had identified with council, not with the cards.
I think that there's a slight error in the numbers that you've suggested, and we can check that offline. But that being said, we're spending $30,000 to $35,000 in an Olympia Hills operational assessment. And can't we wait until that entire assessment is done before we go and get a commercial loan for 6.25% or whatever it is, 6.75%? And by the way, the interest rates are falling; they're not increasing right now. So I'm confused at this approach. Why not wait for the assessment, overall assessment, and then proceed with the next step?
Because you still have the maintenance and the repair and the safety violations that are there. How long are you willing to accept the liability for a cart that can't accelerate when the brakes don't work on?
About the same amount of time that a senior won't break their ankle in the alleyway. So basically,
let's stop right there. That's getting a bit ridiculous. We're talking
well,
about.
basically, we budgeted $185,000. This is a change, a significant change.
Not really. So, noted what you said.
The budget included, the budget that the council included the loan for these carts. We're not exceeding the budget, we're not adding to the budget, we're only just operating under what the budget was approved, and the budget was approved for these carts. Now, the benefit is that we're turning more of them in, right? So they give us more of a rebate, which we intend to use to pay down the previous loan that we had, which I would think would be considered a good thing.
So I guess part of my thing is I understand what we're saying is we've got this thing coming out, right? That these guys are going to look at it. These guys that do this all the time. But I know that when I was there Thursday, were we there Thursday? There at the golf course Thursday? Yeah, for lunch. There were people parking in the grass, people parking in front of people's houses, people parking in yards. It's crazy because the greens are back, and that's what I keep hearing is greens are back, the greens are back. And for me, if I'm not a golfer, but I bet all the golfers, you're right, they like that new ride. So the last thing I want now is, well, you see they've got the nice greens again, but you can't get up the hills around them. You can't stop fast enough. You're gonna run over people. I don't want to have done what we just did and gone through having the greens and then to have an issue with the golf carts. I have not come out and test driven them. I don't know this. I think what we should do is all go over there right now and start driving. Phil and I are gonna race around everything. So you understand? I understand what we're chasing with. Let's make sure. So I really like your idea of if is not tabling it, go ahead and throw the approval out right now, and then
Trust.
I don't want to. Good thing Michael's not here. So and then let y'all have that conversation with the people, and at that point you can make that transition within the next 2 weeks. Now, is it a big 2? I don't know. I'm outside every chance I get right now, except for Sunday because it's really hot. But I'm excited about the weather, where we're at, and the fact that we're going to have a lot of golfers. So I don't want to see us miss that opportunity. I don't want to kick something down the road too far. There's my 2 cents on the coin.
With that being said, I've got nodding consensus of 2 other individuals to go for the vote. So I'll call for the vote.
Can I ask for clarification? Did we make
Yes.
a modification, or what are we voting on right now? I mean, I know what we're voting on, but what?
The resolution is printed.
We have an amended motion.
They have an amended motion to table.
But there wasn't a vote on the amended motion.
Correct.
Right,
We
so.
have a motion and a second.
Yeah, so it would still be the original motion.
Okay, so.
If you want to take a vote, there was a motion and a second on the postpone?
Yes.
Okay, then we need to take a vote on the postpone, and then we'll take a vote on whatever motion is left.
Motion is to postpone to the December 3rd meeting, correct? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Bulman?
It was his.
I amended your motion, I think. Is that how that works?
Wait, yeah, because he amended it.
Well, she got the original motion, and then I asked to amend it, so
He
she
asked to
agreed.
amend it, and then
Or is
I
it-
seconded his amendment.
I don't know whose it is.
Sorry, I just want to make sure we're legally right. You're good. All right, Councilmember Vaughan?
Aye.
Councilmember Bulman?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fitzpatrick?
No.
Councilmember Goolsby?
No. I don't know what I'm doing.
Councilmember Putt?
No.
Councilmember Rubal?
Aye.
And that is a tie. We need the mayor to vote. Mayor Maxwell?
I'll go with no.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we, oh, good Lord.
It's getting late.
That we approve this with the change that you will contact our golf people and advise us of the decision, recommendation of the golf people. And that if they say, oh, don't do this, that we don't do it.
And we'll report back to you on December 3rd.
That makes me happy.
Second?
Second.
Discussion?
That actually makes no sense. So basically, the amendment was proposed to delay a decision until December.
That amendment basically said we're not going to do it for 2 weeks. This amendment says they can do it tomorrow if the fellow gets back to me.
But we don't decide for 2 weeks.
I'm deciding tonight, sir. You aren't. I am.
We're empowering the city to take action.
I'm trusting my staff to do what we're asking them to do. You trusted them a minute ago.
On a different item.
Can we just be a little bit more specific on the directive? Like, what if they say, Yamaha is really much better, I'd really prefer you go there, then but it's not like a don't do this. I mean, what would you tell them staff to do?
I will tell you, if you got a consultant that's going to come in and micromanage your staff, then you got a bad consultant. This is what I used to do for the Air Force. For business operations, for golf courses, bowling centers, and business operations.
But I think if they have a good recommendation, I think we should probably consider it.
Well, they just leaves that open for them.
And I think, but now if he says, you know, if they say, you're good to go with Easy Go, then fantastic. If they say, you need to really look at the Yamahas, then I feel like that's something you're gonna come back to us with. If it's something other than what's on this, you're gonna come back to us.
Quantities or.
Yeah, anything that's different from that, if they come back with a strong recommendation against that.
Unless they say, oh, why don't you finance it through us, which I would have a problem with. That would be a conflict of interest.
Sure.
I mean, he's got the trust in his face. I'm not.
I've been in the industry for a while, and EasyGo is by far the most used golf cart in the golf industry for daily fee golf courses. So we're fine with whatever council wants to do, because we know that they'll come back and they'll give us an accurate answer of, yeah, you guys go ahead and do that. And to speak to your point, if they do come back and say, hey, you guys shouldn't do this, then it does give us a very good reason to possibly say, oh my gosh, what is going on in the golf industry? So yeah, whatever you guys go with, we'll absolutely comply.
Because I believe that it empowers you to move forward, because honestly, the problem I've got is we've got people on council that don't want to do, that are not excited about the golf course. And they're going to consistently put thorns in the side. Put thorns in the tire, put thorns in the tire until it pops. So it's basically a self-fulfilling prophecy. If we jack with it far enough, it'll break. So as long as, you know, we don't jack with it constantly, it's going to run. It's going to do a great job.
With that, let's call for the vote.
Councilmember Goolsby?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fitzpatrick?
Aye.
Councilmember Bulman?
Aye.
Councilmember Putt?
Aye.
Councilmember Rubal?
Please repeat what's being voted on.
Motion to approve with the contingency that if staff gets some sort of negative feedback from the consultants, they will report that December 3rd. Is that correct?
That's very much more concise than I had.
Okay. Councilmember Rubal?
No.
Councilmember Vaughan?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Ordinance 149-012-024, SARA, CCMA impact fees.
Move to approve.
I beg your pardon, I'm making notes. Go ahead, Mr. Vaughn.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Vaughn?
Aye.
Councilmember Bulman?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fitzpatrick?
Aye.
Councilmember Goolsby?
Aye.
Councilmember Putt?
Aye.
Councilmember Rubal?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Item H, Resolution 895, K 2024 Retiree Health Benefits.
Just waiting to see if somebody makes a motion before I stand up.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
I just have one question. It's not really mine, but it was brought up at your council, so I just want to check in with the city. So when you guys do these, like, so this will be a little bit of a different retiree health plan benefit, and they'll have to pay more. Does our city and particularly HR help inform them before retiring to understand all the changes that they would be losing their medical benefits?
Absolutely. We require that everybody who's going to retire, that they meet with HR, and some of them, actually, I'll tell you, we even make them bring their spouse if they're married. So that they understand what their benefits are. Again, these are only for people who are retiring and they're under the age of getting Medicare.
Awesome. That was just the discussion.
There's not that many people anymore.
Robustly had, and I assumed that the city does help with all of that, because I know health insurance is hard for everyone, but we wanted to just put it out there on the world that the city does let retirees know. Otherwise, I'm good. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Mr. Ball?
Yes, Mr. Byrd. In the provision, it says that there are 30 days allotted after their retirement that they can move to this
Make the election, yes.
Make the selection. Wouldn't then it makes sense to make that 30 days before they retire? They have to make that selection because essentially there's potentially 1 month gap there potentially. And let me actually go through three items here. And let's assume that we're in today's world and we have somebody younger than 65 who essentially retires and is divorced, but has been married for many years. It seems like the spouse is getting the short end of some of the sticks in the way it's written. In fact, they've sort of been excluded in the redlining for the benefits in this particular
So that's the requirement of our insurance company?
that they're married. No, what's the requirement? I'm sorry.
That it's not for spouses. If they already have their spouse and their family's on it and they're on the plan now, they continue. This is again for future retirees. We only now provide insurance for the retiree. You can't retire and then come back in and say, oh, now I'm going to add my family into
No, I
it.
understand.
Yeah, and on the 30 days, so your insurance gets paid before you use it. So that 30-day gap is because they've already paid for that month's of insurance.
So there was really no gap.
Yes,
Okay.
so there is no gap. Back to what Ms. Bulman said, that's one of the reasons we bring both partners in, is so that they understand when those gaps, where they are, and when they have to have those critical decisions on whether they're going with the city's insurance, another outside insurance, or depending on their age, if they want to do early Medicare. It's a very emotional decision that they have to make. Well, some of you have retired, you know that.
So it's a hard decision.
Discussion, call for the vote.
Councilmember Goolsby?
Aye.
Councilmember Vaughan?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fitzpatrick?
Aye.
Councilmember Bulman?
Aye.
Councilmember Putt?
Aye.
Councilmember Rubal?
In agreement with Councilman Goolsby.
Motion carried.
Item I, Resolution 972A/2024, approving a grant application from the Bureau of Reclamation of WaterSMART funding opportunity.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Bulman?
Aye.
Councilmember Goolsby?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fitzpatrick?
Aye.
Councilmember Putt?
Aye.
Councilmember Rubal?
Aye.
Councilmember Vaughan?
Aye.
Motion carried.
And item J, CDBG reimbursement, Hillview pay application number 2.
Move to approve.
Second.
Third.
I've been waiting all night to say that. Discussion? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Bulman?
Aye.
Councilmember Goolsby?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fitzpatrick?
Aye.
Sorry, Councilmember Vaughan? Councilmember Putt?
Aye.
Councilmember Rubal?
Aye.
Councilmember Vaughan, the unofficial third.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And that actually at 8, looks like it's 8:23. Meeting adjourned.
Sweet.
At 9 o'clock.
Third, actually. Just to